Beep, boop. Okay, there's the microphone. I'll have to keep an eye on that as usual. I think aside from that, we are good to go. So let me share the stream here if I can. I do that again. Here it is. It's chapter 27 time, ladies and gents. It has been a long 2 months. Been a long 2 months between chapter 26 and this one, where we saw the return of Moman, who I still don't have a great voice decided on for, but I'll do my best. So, I think we'll see if anyone arrives, and then we will get started. Let me open up the phone on this. I'll open up the stream on my phone. If you do happen to be subscribed to me, then you would have seen that my channel has been quite active recently. Just because I've been posting a lot of clips from Teardown, which I love. It's such a cool game. And I also posted, and I would recommend anyone interested watch this, a reaction to the announcement of the newest Fumito Ueda game. He's one of my favorite creative people. Frankly, above Makoto Raikou in my list of favorite creative people. And so I had quite the reaction to that announcement. That's on my channel. It's not a professionally done video. Not even as professionally done as this video could be said to be, which isn't very much. But it is on there. Hello, Amit. Hi. Welcome. So I think we're probably going to get started in a little bit. I don't know. It's been 2 months since the last chapter, so I like to just talk about what I've been up to, which isn't too much. I've been playing some games, you know, the usual stuff. I recently started the newest manga by One, the author of One Punch Man, who is a creator that I really respect. His newest manga is called Bug Ego, which has been pretty interesting. The 2 chapters I've read, there's like 5 chapters out right now, so we got a little bit catching up to do. I recently wrote a little for the first time in a very long time, which I liked. I started the second draft of a short screenplay that I had written a while back. And I'd love to share that with anyone interested once that is finished, but that's going to be quite a while until that's done. But other than that, yeah, I mean, big time for movies at the end of the year. I saw Sonic 3 in theaters on Saturday. That I enjoy, though I'm not actually sure I enjoyed it as much as Sonic 2. And then next week is Nosferatu, which for people who really like movies and are aware of like all the, you know, big directors and what movies are currently coming out, Nosferatu is a big one. Obviously, it is a remake of a very well-known silent film from the 1920s. I believe the original movie is over 100 years old now. And footage from that movie is in the public domain, so it'll often show up in not only other works, but also notably in SpongeBob, was where a lot of people know Nosferatu from. So that's a little lesson there. So I think enough time has passed, we can just get on with the chapter. So where we left off, I think I misspoke earlier. I said where we left off, we were introduced to Momon. That's not true. Where we left off, Momon had already been infiltrating this base. I forget the name of it. I think it said somewhere in this chapter. And he, at the very end, had encountered a mysterious being who looks very evil, while at the same time some of the bad guys were getting attacked by a monster. And we don't know exactly how related these two events are, but we are going to see how this stuff plays out. So, page 1 here of the action. I found you a little apprehensive, aren't we? Don't fret. I'm not going to kill you right away. I must say you've piqued my interest, so let's keep things civil for now. I am Moses, a sorcerer with a penchant for demon biology. Kind of funny, if you ask me, that didn't Raikou name a character Allah in one of the early chapters and then like kind of backpedal that? Now he's naming this guy Moses, so I don't know. Seems like he maybe didn't learn his lesson. I don't know who would ever get mad at this guy being called Moses, but it is just sort of funny to think about how those things relate. A sorcerer with a penchant for demon biology. And your name is? Momon. I guess we have the Mo in common. When did you notice that I was here? I detected a shift in the wind patterns. I suppose you could say it was a series of small vibrations in the air. They kept occurring at regular intervals, so I thought it might be worth looking into. So it was my inaudible echolocation that gave me away. So yes, specifically what he sensed was not Momon's movements, but the wave Momon was sending out to create the maps. Quite remarkable, aren't you? You don't even produce a sound with each step you take. I am also curious as to how you've managed to mask your demonic scent. I just spritz myself with a bit of perfume to take care of that. One of the many perks of being so stylish. He flips his scarf, and then he hears something from far away. Gah! You bastard! Dum. So this monster is continuing to attack and has grabbed this case of spell vials, and it has seemingly sort of integrated what I believe to be Zoberon's spell element. Momon hears this, and he's stricken with fear. Well, Moses just smiles. I make no footsteps, and I don't leave any scent. So how could you possibly have found me? I can use my magic to heighten certain senses. In your case, I enhanced my sense of touch. In doing so, I was able to track you by your body temperature. I specifically searched for excess heat in restricted areas of the fortress, and found you hiding in the rafters, sticking out like a sore thumb. So, I don't entirely know how touch has anything to do with sensing temperature, but I guess if it's good enough, I don't know, maybe you can sense anything. So this creature is wreathed in shadow and it's moving. Momon is, again, still quite scared. But what intrigued me most was your behavior earlier. You were moments away from fleeing this fortress until you realized that something was amiss. Your curiosity got the better of you, and you decided to stick around. And yet this happened at the precise moment that Libra had ambushed my cohorts and stolen their magic supply. So that's the monster Libra. It hardly seemed like a coincidence. Libra's moving through the base. With that in mind, I simply disabled my magic as I approached the heat source. You were so focused on sensing magic that I was able to slip through, right under your nose. So these other guys seem to be aware that Libra is attacking now. They seem like they're kind of worried. These guys gathering. And this guy's holding another case, the case that has Ponygon. Where is he? Ponygon's spell element in it. Be honest. You have the innate ability to seek out the magic source emanating from the spell vials, don't you? You're quite the specimen. As a demon biologist, I can scarcely wait to tear you apart and find out what makes you tick. He pulls out what looks like some sort of saw. I think there's a specific name for that type of saw. But then he flicks it and it like turns into some weird like circle thingy weapon. I'm not sure if it's moving after he flicks it like that, if it continues to whir or not. If I try to fight back, there's no way I'll survive. I can tell just by looking at you. Of course, the right thing for me to do would be to get the heck out of here, away from you and the stronghold. He has nowhere to run. The door behind Momon will only take him further into the fortress. The only exits are these side passages and the door that's behind me. And if he plans to use any of those, he'll have to get through me first. I know that's the only way I can make it out alive. And considering all the important stuff I'm carrying, escape should be my top priority. But you know, it's kind of funny. Funny? I feel like doing a wrong thing instead. Cue the music. Boom! He does it, or strikes a kind of a weird pose while kicking this panel in the wall. What? Pew! Jumps in. There's a hidden passage here. Was this meant for building inspections? He's not here, that slippery little. This was an error on my part. He must know this building inside and out, even better than we do. So be it. It's not hard to surmise where he'd be headed. All security personnel, sound the alarm. We have an intruder. He contacts them on some sort of walkie. On the roof of this place, some of the enemies have this weird mechanism where they turn a lever that moves a gear, that moves a hand, that moves a hammer to strike a bell. Again and again and again. A metal hand. Dong, dong, dong. So they're sounding the alarm for Momon, but not for the monster that is attacking them. Maybe not all of them know about it yet. The bell. It rang 4 times? There's an intruder? I will now describe the appearance of our unwanted guest. He has the ears of a rabbit and the face of a primate. Kiki! That's Momon making monkey noises. Something just fell from the ceiling. A stylish young man, dressed head to toe in pink clothing. Hey, pink, just like he said. So Momon runs on the walls and the ceiling. He has many fabulous secret abilities and acrobatics that he can make use of to get over these guys. Huh? So fast! His feet, they're a blur! So it's not just an effect, his feet really are a blur. It's another sound you can use for him running. Guys are chasing him. Jumping from place to place. I don't know what this area is. It's like all these beams to stretch on. Library. Courtyard. It goes all around it. Runs throughout the whole place. Leap. Flips in. He's in the second building! Go warn the others! Oh my. And here I thought that I was the only demon who had survived. Is the bird friend. Did I hear that right? You'd like to travel alongside me so that you can work on a map? And these symbols you included, would they happen to be the symbols that denote the stolen spells? You mean to say that your map could point out the locations of these spells? So this is a very interesting map. It has images of a lot of spell elements on it, some of which you can kind of recall that we've seen things looking similar to them. Some of them might not even be drawings of spell elements, but actually might be drawings of the demons that they belong to, like the one on the lower right that looks like the weird kind of clown head-looking guy that was a Millennium Emoto, not Alm, but another clown head-looking guy. But there's a lot on here, and I know at least Ryuta-kun, the member of the community, has tried to figure out which Emoto each of these correspond to, and I think a lot of them ended up being Millennium Emoto. Not all of them, but a lot of them. There's also an icon on the left here that seems to be kind of standing alone, which is kind of interesting. I don't know if that's important or not. Okay, so they're meeting another flying Momoto, one that looks more like a chicken. Oh, do my ears deceive me? Momon, rejoice! I've just learned that there are many more demons like us who survived the attack. They're all gathering at the Dragon Fort as we speak. Your map could be the tool we need to turn this around. Everyone will be so delighted to see what you've made. You'd like to make a stop along the way? Yeah. On the way to the Dragon Fort, there should be a stronghold called Elios in Corvo. It's called Elios, that's what it is. I'm sensing a lot of power over there. And the map we've got so far only covers about 1/10 of the entire demon world. It's interesting. Makes you wonder if Raikou has mapped out any more of this. You see, I'm trying really hard to find one demon spells in particular. He's a good personal friend of mine. Dun! He opens the door and sees the creature, Libra, attacking. This is the first time we've seen it in full. And it is very gross, disturbing creature, similar to the chimeras that you would see in Animal Land. It has a 3-parted mouth with what looks like a giant, gross eyeball inside. And then lower down on its body, it also has some weird pentagonal, pentagonal hole. Very, very weird and disturbing that goes into it. It is currently stabbing one guy with one of its tentacles, which also have eyeball-like things at the end. And it screams. I can only imagine what that scream actually sounds like. Immediately piercing that guy's weak point. No! Go bars! So Gobars drops the case. The monster's about to get it. This guy jumps for it. He has something on his left arm that looks a bit like it could be a spell already. But then he uses another spell here. So I guess it's probably not a spell. It's probably just a weapon. Gansu Begiru! I forget if this is one of Kid's spells or if it's something else that uses this spell. And from within the hole in the monster, it appears that is actually kind of a mouth. We don't know what kind of intelligence this monster has, but at least enough to read spells. Bishirudo creates a big shield in front of it that blocks these shots. Hey, thanks for that. Snap is the best. Yeah, I guess I wasn't paying attention to the microphone for a second. I know it's been good for most of the stream. I have been checking it. In any case, we didn't miss much. I really wish this didn't happen. It's not something I control. It's something that in order to fix, it requires me to be paying constant attention to the mic level, which is not really something I should be required to do. The mic is well connected. There's no parts of it that are moving at all that I am knocking into or anything of that nature. So I don't really know why it happens, and I don't like it. But, I try my best, and the last mic I had was even worse. The last mic I had would, never work. So it's unfortunate, but do the best we can here to get the good quality mic. In any case, so this guy, Libra, puts one of their tentacles up to this guy. Giraga Rabato! Yeah. So this weirdly seems to be an electric spell. which is weird. It's not one of Zatch's spells, clearly, and I'm not entirely sure whose spell it would even be. Giraga Roboto doesn't sound like similar to any spell elements that I remember. Maybe someone can illuminate that a little bit. So being hit point blank with this spell shatters this guy's weak point, and he also begins to fade away. Well, the monster screeches again, having won. Can this thing be stopped? Momon is there, breathing heavily, just watching it. What the hell is that thing? I'll get vaporized. If I don't leave now, I'm as good as broiled. The spell case clatters to the ground. Monster moves towards it, towards Ponygon's spell element. Momon gathers his courage. The monster notices him and looks towards him, getting distracted from the spells. Momon dashes at the creature. I can move pretty fast on my own, but I'd be no match for Goshudaruk. Even so. Ding. Biraitsu! He's able to dodge these without Goshudaruk. I like the position on the left there. I can sense the spell's energy one beat before it gets released. Guranbo! Hits him with an explosion. I think that is one of Estros' spells, if I'm not mistaken. It's a ground element spell, but it kind of just causes an explosion. Umagan's spells. If I can just make it back with his spells, then... Sees Sister L. I'm sure. Flashbacks during the Fado arc. I'm positive that it would make Sister happy. So happy. And Sunbeam-san, Umagan's book owner, he and Sister both seem really close. If Umagan were alive right now, and if I could help him regain his spells, then I just know that Sunbeam-san and Sister would both smile so cheerfully together, and he imagines giving the spell vial to them. I've been dreaming of that moment for so long. Of course, we know Momon's a good soul, and that he does greatly respect Elle, despite the way he annoyed her in the past as a kid. He's really grown up. I never did get to see Sister again. Crap! It's no good. That thing's getting closer. Giraga Roboto! Shocks Momon this time. Fortunately, Momon does not have a weak point. So it's not going to immediately destroy him, this spell. It does hurt him quite a lot, though. And he's about to get hurt again. We have another spell, Giraga Mabarudo. So this is another Giraga spell, which this time seems to create some sort of electronic explosion, probably more powerful than the other one. Momon gets hit with this crazy art here of him just getting mangled by this explosion. I have to face facts. I'm never going to see her again. My voice can't even produce that noise. Hit back by it. He's almost down and out, almost beaten. The creature wants to take the spell again. And yet, I just can't shake this feeling. I don't know why, but it feels like if I get those spells back, then I will see Sister again. He leaps, summoning the last of his strength for the spell vial. It's like every bone in my body is screaming this out to me. The right thing would be to run, but that feeling is why. I decided to do the wrong thing instead. He flips over the case, grabbing Ponygon's spell vial. And right there, mid-flip, we end chapter 27. So we have some name notes from Raze and team who translated the chapter. The usual Moses. It could be a number of things, but they believe it is Moses. I know the joke um, that in this chapter with his name and Momon's name is that the character Mo, I think, is generally used to mean like also. Um, and so when Moses is telling him, like, yeah, your name also has Mo in it, in Japanese, they're using that character in a way that's humorous. I wonder if there'd be a good way to localize that. I'd have to think of that. Considering that Mo in kind of like rap music can be a short version of more, there might be something that could be done there to localize that. It might be a little clunky, but there might be something that could be done. And then we have this other guy, Go Bars, who we're never going to see again. They just thought it sounded all right for that guy. So there you have it. There is chapter 27. It was a straight through single focus chapter on Momon, which I feel like is kind of rare for this series. I don't remember if we had any Zatch last chapter, but still, I think in most of the other arcs, we will usually cut away to Zatch and Kyo, pretty much no matter what else is going on. But we didn't this time, which is pretty interesting. And I think this chapter, could be said to be uneventful, like many of the mid-arc chapters in the series, which are just fighting chapters. This wasn't necessarily a fight; it was kind of a chase. But it was a great chapter for showing how much Momon is growing. I think a lot of the people who were worried that Raikou would not do right by his character development were probably very satisfied with this chapter. I'm sure a lot of those people are also still pretty worried because the real test is going to be when he interacts with some of the female characters from the original series. But I'm pretty confident, as I think I've said in previous streams, that his attitudes will present themselves in a different way than they did when he was a kid. I think they're still going to be gags. They're just not going to be the same as they were before. Because I think, in all truth, even Japan is pretty tired of that stuff nowadays. I forget if I mentioned this before, but I mean, I'm willing to give Raikou a little leeway for doing that. Back in the day with the first series, there was, it's the classic type of character, the pervy character who was always punished for what they do. But I think even Japan is a little tired of that. Is a little tired of Mineta from My Hero Academia and things like that. And anything that's too pervy. I know that in Fire Force, which is a manga that is sort of known for being very pervy, though a lot of people tend to give it a pass just because they like the guy's art and they like that his casts are a little bit more multicultural than in other series, which yes are things that we can both say both of those things are good. He does sort of offset that by being one of the perviest popular manga writers going today. And apparently people complain, which I assume was not just people in America, because he probably wouldn't give that much stock. I think people in Japan must have also complained because he wrote a whole scene where he has this self-insert child address these concerns and say, no, it's actually good, which is bizarre. But that's just an example of what I'm saying, where I think Japan's a little less okay with stuff that is egregiously perverted, or characters that are. So, what else happened this chapter? We got introduced to Moses, who, his design is not exactly something new for Raikou or even for Zatch Bell at this point. We had Gunther earlier in this series who had a similar face, this sort of feminine face that kind of originated with Zophis, went on to be used in terms of major characters in Zhu from Animal Land. Who Moses resembles the most. Ziggy, from the very beginning of the series, also has that face, also resembled Zhu. And Zhu, I often thought kind of looked like if Brago and Zophis somehow had a child, that's what it would look like. Very cool character in Animal Land at first. It gets kind of lame later on. Some of the best stuff in that entire series, though, is Zhu's first appearance. So Moses is a biologist. So would be kind of a shame to see a villain like this kind of get defeated this arc. I kind of hope he's not, which there's a fair chance of that, because a lot of villains have survived in this series. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Um, and his thing about being a scientist and he likes to cut up demons and see what makes them tick is interesting. I'm not sure if Riku would ever actually show us that, but it still makes for an interesting villain. And you have to wonder if he can improve his senses. What else can he do with that? We haven't seen him fight. We barely, we saw him in the first scene of this chapter, and he was very imposing at the end of the last chapter. And then we haven't really seen him at all since then. So I think he is going to be big trouble for the good guys, hopefully before he gets defeated. Because we might still be very early in this arc. This could be a long one, I don't think it's gonna, I don't even think it's gonna get wrapped up in 2 chapters, right? Like, so you would say 1 chapter is for Momon to be rescued, which hopefully Raikou will do in a way that doesn't seem too hokey. It's the Zatch Bell 2 formula. I've come to terms with it at this point. The good guys got to get defeated before they can be saved by someone else. And hopefully Raikou will at least write that in an interesting way. I think it's not impossible that Moses or his forces could go against the monster. We don't necessarily know that Moses and Libra are on the same side. It has not specifically been said. I think Moses mentions Libra early on in the chapter. He says that was Momon deciding to stay in the castle in the fort corresponded to the time when Libra began attacking. But he doesn't say that when I sent Libra to attack, he doesn't seem to really know exactly, like, oh, Libra's out there gathering spells. He doesn't really go too deep into mentioning Libra. So we don't really know how related they are, if they're on necessarily the same side. Obviously, Moses is collaborating with the other guys in the same room as them. Libra is out there killing them. So that already is a difference. Obviously, Moses could be doing some kind of plan. But Libra's really interesting because Libra is kind of a creature that we have not seen at this point in the series. It's a creature that is taking these spell vials into itself and integrating that power. We don't know if it's really like changing its appearance each time it does this. I don't remember if it looked any different last chapter when it was still kind of in shadow at the end. But it seems to be taking these spell elements directly, almost like the process that killed the previous cards. Like Wade using the fire element, or Zhu attempting to use the what element did she use? Was it a plant element, or she did use an element along with, of course, the red butterfly power that really damages them. Libra does not seem to have this weakness. The closest thing to Libra that we would have seen would be like Wise Man from the first movie, because he's not similar to the other cards who they have to grab the vial and they hold it and then they use one spell at one time. I don't think they can use spells in tandem, can they? I don't think we've seen that. I don't think we've seen them having 2 at once. Though I don't think we've really seen Libra do this either, but I feel like it might be possible for them to fire 2 projectile spells or to have a shield and then fire a projectile through that. Could happen. So Libra's a very interesting beast. It resembles kind of one of the Chimera from Animal Land. It's very monstrous. The most monstrous thing we've seen in Zatch Bell since Clear was final form at the end of the first series, I think, unless there's something I am not remembering. Yeah, I would say, because, we have Wade's monster form. We have a couple others like Zillion, but none of them have been as scary as Clear's form. Even Wade is at his scariest in that very first 2-page spread when he's in the middle of transforming, which makes it a little spookier. I'd say Libra kind of beats that out, especially that weird mouth. That is quite disturbing. But I am interested to see how Momon is going to get out of this one. Maybe he'll be able to escape without really defeating Libra. Maybe he will get saved by someone and they will fight Libra together. Um, Maybe Moses will help. There's a few options, and I think Raikou will probably pick up a pretty interesting one. We know we are getting another chapter next month. So what else is there to say? Um, I guess I kind of what I was saying before. I think whenever this immediate conflict with Libra ends, there's still going to be more to this arc because there's a whole group of enemies. There is Moses as well, and there have to be more good guys on the way, I would think. If not, then maybe he will just escape and we'll revisit these guys later, which still might be in this arc, might be in another one. But this could end up being quite a long arc. I do wonder if we're gonna get it explained, like what Libra is. Is it just one of the cards that went nuts? Do they have some sort of special ability to integrate spells like that? um, when they're defeated, will they get those spell elements back? I think it would be too easy to have Ponygon be there. That would be way too easy. As exciting as that would be, I don't think it's going to happen, and I kind of hope it doesn't. I think more likely would be maybe a surprise appearance of a character we haven't really heard about yet, or I think somewhat likely might be Rops. I think Rops is a character who was obviously just referenced at the beginning of this arc when Kyo and Zatch were talking to Apollo, and is also a character who's probably quite skilled, having grown up. He can at the very least probably fly, and maybe able to move quite quickly as well, and help Momon out there. But that's just an option. And yeah, we saw some cool spells this chapter. I just like the vibe, the visual of the tentacles each shooting a laser beam. I think is cool. And we also got some good art this chapter of Momon like running and flipping and all this kind of stuff. Um, I think the voice I used for him has definitely settled into like a bit of a Solid Snake-esque kind of thing. I'm trying to give it sort of a sillier quality, but I think especially with how Momon clearly kind of sees himself here and the type of thing, the stealth mission that he is doing, I guess Solid Snake kind of makes a little sense. I think that's all, though. Uh, Looking forward to next month. Big news that happened during the break that I forgot to mention. Tawakizu, the current mobile game, is going to be ending service in January. Part of me is very sad because, similar to Golden Memories, they didn't really get to do anything really interesting with with the story or new characters. Similarly, Golden Memories was actually just starting to use some stuff from the final arc. Like they had Kalulu's Shin spell, the weird like force field, was I think usable in that game, and I'm sure they were going to add more stuff like that. Towakizu can't even do that because they only have the rights to whatever's in the anime. But still, it would have been nice to see it go further and maybe get more variants of characters. I think that was the Halloween Kanshime. I think was a separate character from the main Kanshime in the game, so it would have been cool to see more variants like that. Funnily enough, the last character in that was released for that game was Momon, who I might wanna get back into the game just so I can see if I can grab him. But I've been away from that game for so long. I always wanted to kind of eventually get back into it. But there's also part of me that is, kind of glad that I did not devote that time because gacha games are such a huge time sink. And I already have Fate Grand Order, which I play a lot, and having a second one for an extended period of time, I can only imagine like what in my life would I have not been able to do, watch, play, read if I had been doing Tawakizu. I do kind of think that I am going to end up trying the Madoka Magica gacha game that comes out. Which I don't know how long I'm going to last with that one. I do want to try that one because I have not really tried any of these like new gen 3D like full movement gacha games. Now this is not as freedom. This is not as freedom. Let's just go with that. this is not as freedom as something like Genshin Impact or Wuthering Wave, which is the dumbest name of all time. But I think it is sort of in this like evolved form from something like even Tawakizu or certainly Fate Grand Order, which is sort of like set the standard for 2D enemies on one side, heroes on the other. Attacks are made using these little cards you tap kind of gameplay. Though I do quite like Fate Grand Order. I think Fate Grand Order is has a simplicity that draws you in, and then it has a sort of depth to it that keeps you there. We're getting a little off topic, but yeah, it is overall sad that Tawakizu is ending service. The timing was really interesting because the timing was Raikou follows the Tawakizu official account. He says, "I'm following you guys now. Let me know if you have any questions," which sounds really bizarre, almost like some kind of threat. And we don't know why he followed them. I think in my last stream I discussed some of the possibilities for that, but I'm not going to go into that again. But then 2-3 weeks later, game announces that it's shutting down in January. So that's odd. I don't think Raikou really had anything to do with it because I just remembered right now that we do know a little bit of why this game is ending so suddenly. And it had to do, I think, with Toei's licensing that they were giving the developers for that game sort of ending, and that they like didn't even tell the developers, or maybe the licensing was from Raikou to Toei, but I kind of doubt that because Toei made the Zatch Bell anime. I would think they would own that anime forever. But maybe not. Maybe since Raikou kind of owns Zatch as a franchise, he could revoke licensing as part of some kind of contract. So I think it had more to do with that than it had anything to do with Raikou and any machinations he may have. But where, as we know from the past, where one Zatch Bell door closes, another opens. Isn't that right? And I think we will see the other door opening. I remember when Tawakizu was announced. It was sort of at a period where everyone was like, "Man, Zatch Bell 2's been going on for a while. The volume re-releases are done, and nothing's going on. Maybe it's just going to be the Zatch Bell 2 manga just forever until it ends, and then that's going to be it for Zatch Bell." And every month on every stream, I was like, "I don't know about that. I think we're going to get something." And then Tawakizu was announced. So trust me, I don't think it's going to be just Zatch Bell 2. This franchise historically has a way of resurrecting itself in other mediums. So I think we will see that again, whatever form that may take. I think on that optimistic note, we're going to end it. Thanks to anyone who watched. Thanks to anyone who does watch. Please comment on any thoughts that you have. And I will see you guys next month. I'd like to maybe do these streams a little closer to when the chapters release, but it's more of a hobby, so I tend to do them when I have time. Zatchville Gamer, I'm ending the stream right now. I am out of things to talk about. Thank you a lot for coming as usual. I don't know what happened with your YouTube either. But just enjoy the stream. Once it's over, please comment. I will read and respond. But yeah, I'm fully out of things to talk about, as you'll see. So I'm gonna cut it off here. So yeah, we'll see y'all next month. Thank you guys for watching and have a good night. Oh, also good. I like my thumbnail this month. I thought of that in like 30 seconds. I'm obviously hiding from Libra. That's the concept of that. So yeah.